In other parts of the world, traffic jams have also occurred, with reports of vehicles stuck for up to 12 days. But today, we'll talk about a traffic jam that will truly surprise you. This wasn't a jam that lasted a few days, weeks, or even months. Shockingly, it continued for 8 long years. Yes, you heard that right. 8 years. This is the story of the world's longest and most unusual traffic jam, which took place not on a highway, but in the Suez Canal, where ships and thousands of crew members were trapped for nearly a decade. We know that traffic jams on highways can be cleared in a matter of days, but clearing a jam in the Suez Canal was a completely different challenge. Let's dive into the fascinating story of this historic jam. The Suez Canal is considered the jewel of global trade and shipping. By using this route, ships save approximately 8,900 kilometers. Not only did the canal save time and distance, but it also protected ships from pirates who prowled African waters. The Suez Canal provided a safer route, shielding ships from both pirates and the grueling detour. This story begins on the morning of June 5, 1967, when 15 cargo ships entered the Suez Canal from the Mediterranean side. Normally, it takes about 12 hours for ships to pass through, but on this fateful day, their journey of hours turned into years. These ships had no idea what lay ahead. At the time, tensions between Egypt and Israel were already high. Both nations were gearing up for war, but the Suez Canal, located about 200 kilometers from the Israel-Egypt border, seemed far removed from the brewing conflict. Neither the Egyptians nor the 15 ships foresaw any direct danger. However, that morning, everything changed. The long-standing tensions erupted into open war as Israeli forces launched a surprise attack on Egypt. Within an hour, rockets and bombs rained down near the Suez Canal, forcing Egyptian forces to immediately close the canal at both ends. Over the next 6 days, intense fighting ensued, and Israeli forces captured the entire Sinai Peninsula. The Suez Canal became the new dividing line between Israel and Egypt. To prevent Israeli forces from advancing further, the Egyptian military sank ships at both canal entrances, destroyed bridges, and laid mines throughout the waterway. Their sole aim was to render the canal completely unusable. Meanwhile, the 15 cargo ships found themselves stranded in the Great Bitter Lake, located in the middle of the canal. With Egyptian forces to the west and Israeli troops to the east, they were trapped. They couldn't return to the Mediterranean or proceed to the Red Sea. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years. The war showed no signs of resolution. This standoff had enormous consequences for global trade. Ships traveling between Europe, the Middle East, and Asia had to take the much longer route around Africa, significantly increasing costs and travel time. As for the 15 stranded ships, they were in a predicament of their own. These ships belonged to multiple nations, including Britain, Germany, Sweden, Poland, France, Bulgaria, Czechoslovakia, and the United States. Months after their entrapment, shipping companies decided to recall most of the crew, leaving behind only about 10 crew members per ship for maintenance. This crew was rotated every few months, but the ships themselves remained stuck. As the years dragged on, the crews adapted to their situation. Friendships blossomed among sailors of different nationalities. To stave off boredom, they organized activities. A small church was set up on a German ship for Christians. Movie nights were arranged on Bulgarian ship. Pool parties were held on Swedish ships, and football games on British ships. In 1968, they even organized the Bitter Lake Olympics, a remarkable show of resilience in the middle of the Great Bitter Lake. Despite their efforts to stay positive, the canal remained blocked with debris, sunken ships, and mines. 6 years later, in 1973, tensions reignited and another war broke out. This time, Egypt launched an offensive to reclaim the Sinai Peninsula. Eventually, on October 24, 1973, a ceasefire was agreed upon, and both nations began withdrawing their troops. However, the canal required another 2 years of cleanup. Finally, on June 5, 1975, exactly 8 years after the ships first entered the canal, the Suez Canal reopened. The remaining 14 ships sailed home, welcomed with great celebration in their respective countries. This extraordinary traffic jam remains the longest in history, unmatched to this day. It highlights how human conflict can halt even the most critical global systems. The Suez Canal remains vital to world trade, handling nearly 12% of global shipping. Events like the 2021 Ever Given incident remind us of its significance and fragility. Could an 8-year traffic jam happen in today's interconnected world? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this story, like the video and subscribe for more fascinating tales.